Silent Night. You've probably heard it a billion times already during this holiday season. But do you know where it comes from? Was it composed by Mozart or Beethoven? Nope. This iconic song had its very first performance on Christmas Eve in Austria in 1818. It started with a short but sweet poem written by a Roman Catholic priest during a time of constant conflict in Europe. This is the amazing story behind the song Silent Night. It all started with the Father Josephus Franciscus Mohr. Mohr was born in December 1792 in Salzburg, Austria. His family faced many hardships. His dad, a soldier, had left them before Josephus was even born. Growing up in poverty, a vicar at Salzburg Cathedral stepped in to support his education and nurtured his musical talents. Then, by 1811, Mohr decided to take a detour and join the seminary, eventually becoming a Roman Catholic priest in 1815. But in 1816, when he became an assistant priest in Marifar, the creative sparks flew. He wrote a mysterious six-stanza poem, possibly inspired by the serene Marifar landscape in the tumultuous times of the Napoleonic Wars. Later, in the magical year of 1818, that very poem took a musical turn and echoed through the Church of St. Nicholas at Obendorf during the Christmas Midnight Mass. Today, that song stands as one of the world's favorites. It's been translated into hundreds of languages and sung by millions. Mohr's original poem was written in German. He titled it Stille Nacht, Heilige Nacht, or Silent Night, Holy Night. For the longest time, the true story behind this poem was hidden in legend, a tale largely undiscovered by the millions who revel in it as the world's most beloved Christmas carol. That was until a letter about its origins from the composer, Franz Xaver Gruber, written to the Persian king, was discovered. If the song makes you feel at peace when you hear it, there's a reason why. Let's step back into Father Mohr's world, a time of constant conflict in Europe. Back when Silent Night was written, life in the village was tough. For 6 years, Napoleon and his troops had caused a lot of trouble. War was always hard, but during that time, soldiers took everything they could find, slaughtering animals and grabbing food. With husbands and sons away at war, only the wives and kids were left at home. It was a really difficult and poor time. And if that wasn't enough, there was another problem. In 1815, a volcano in Indonesia erupted, and the next year, Europe had a strange and cold summer. This affected places like Austria, Germany, France, and Italy. The volcano's ash caused problems with crops, and many people didn't have enough to eat. Thousands even died from hunger. Now, let's talk about how Silent Night came to be. One evening when the organ couldn't be played, Joseph Mohr showed up with a heartfelt poem. Franz Xaver Gruber, a musician who played the organ and taught in Arnsdorf, must have worked on the music on the same day. As a musical backdrop, Mohr skillfully played the guitar while the choir echoed the last two stanzas of each verse. This was unusual because songs were usually written in Latin. It seems like it was a spontaneous decision for a specific evening. We only found out in 1955 that Mohr had the basic lyrics 2 years earlier. Before that, everyone believed it was all created on the spot. Originally, Silent Night was just meant to be a lovely thing for that particular night in the village of Obendorf. People in the village could sing along right away. The beauty of Silent Night lies in its simplicity, and that's the big reason why the song spread so widely across the world. Missionaries who took it to places like Africa and Indonesia found that people without formal education could easily repeat it. The song's simple melody made it easy for everyone to join in, leading to numerous translations in different dialects. But how did they prove who wrote Silent Night originally? So after Joseph Mohr passed away in 1848, there was a letter written in 1853 to confirm where the song came from. Why? Well, the Persian king Friedrich IV was curious because a printed leaflet said the composer was unknown. Friedrich thought it sounded different from other songs and wondered if it could be from Michael Haydn, who was famous then in Munich. So he asked the orchestra to check with St. Peter's Abbey in Salzburg. Gruber's son, who sang in the choir, heard about this, told his dad, and they were asked to share everything. Gruber even got a thank you note from the Persian king. But get this, to make sure they didn't lose the letter, the monastery said, "Write it down again." So they did, and now that piece of history is safely in the Salzburg Museum. But how did Silent Night go from a small village to a global sensation? The song was gaining popularity in the region, but still wasn't that widespread. It all started with an organ builder named Karl Moracher, who took the song to Tyrol. Now, Tyrol was a bit isolated 200 years ago, but during winter, people traveled to markets to sell their goods, like the Strasser family, who even went to Leipzig, a whopping 500 kilometers away from Zillertal. These families, like the Rainer family, turned it into a business. They brought it to the United States in 1839, enchanting crowds in New York. During the 1830s, the song became part of a collection of Tyrolean folk songs, and by the 1840s, it had earned admiration from the Royal Cathedral Choir in Berlin. King Frederick William IV of Prussia cherished it among his favorite compositions. Moving ahead to 1859, an Episcopal priest in New York City translated the song into English. This changed everything. But it didn't stop there. Missionaries took the song to Africa and other places they visited. And of course, Americans played a big part, like Bing Crosby in the 1930s. In 1935, Bing Crosby released the song as a single, and it has since sold over 30 million copies, making it the third highest-selling single of all time. Motivated by his strong Catholic beliefs, Crosby chose to donate all the royalties from this historically third best-selling song to charity. Over time, the song has also been covered by various artists, including Elvis Presley, Gene Autry, and Justin Bieber. In 2010, PPL, the music licensing company, even declared Silent Night as the most recorded Christmas song in Britain. But there was one more moment in history when this song gained an entirely new meaning once again: the Christmas truce. It was Christmas Eve in the trenches of World War I back in 1914. Amidst the tension and strife, something extraordinary happened. German soldiers started singing Stille Nacht, or their version of Silent Night. Now, this wasn't just any song. It was like a magical key that unlocked a moment of peace and camaraderie. The British soldiers, who hadn't heard this tune before, responded with their carol, and that's when the Christmas truce kicked off. Soldiers from both sides laid down their weapons, exchanged handshakes, and even shared gifts. One thing became clear: Silent Night played a crucial role in fostering a sense of humanity and connection. The Christmas truce became a testament to the significance of this timeless song, echoing far beyond the battlefield. Surprisingly, though, the song went for decades without proper credit. For a long time, people wrongfully credited Silent Night to either Beethoven or Bach. Even when Franz Gruber received rightful credit for the melody, Joseph Moore's lyrical contribution went unnoticed. After the song became famous, Franz Xavier Gruber continued his musical journey with success. He lived a long and prosperous life, passing away at the age of 75. Gruber generously directed all proceeds from various versions of the melody to charity, and Stille Nacht remained his most treasured creation. Meanwhile, Joseph Moore became a vicar and lived until he was 55. Father Moore, working in different parishes, generously gave away most of his earnings to help others. Even though he created one of the world's beloved songs, he left with little, just a simple cassock, leaving behind a legacy of goodness. As for the Church of St. Nicholas, where the iconic song first echoed, it doesn't exist anymore. Unfortunately, catastrophic floods in the early 20th century took their toll. But a silver lining emerged with the construction of the Silent Night Chapel between 1930 and 36. The chapel preserves the original furnishings, keeping the spirit of Silent Night alive. Meanwhile, back in the Austrian town of Hallein, Franz Gruber's house is now a museum. Among its treasures is none other than Joseph Mohr's guitar, the very instrument that gave birth to the enchanting melody in 1818. So the next time you hear Silent Night, remember the humble beginnings of this Christmas classic. Thanks for tuning in, and if you want to catch more awesome content like this, make sure to click on the next video.